So I partially lied a little bit to you a minute ago. This final piece is a piece that the last time I played it on a concert, I went to a friend of mine in the audience and I said, I don't know why in the world I put the Carmen Fantasy last on the program. It's exhausting to play. And she said, well, it's the only place you can put it on a program, which is true. It's a tough act to follow. And, but part of why I was considering cutting that previous piece is because I knew I would be exhausted getting ready for this one. I'm only half exhausted, so we'll see how it goes. This piece comes from the 1800s, from a tradition of composers arranging popular tunes from operas to be performed in smaller settings, so that you could enjoy the tunes of your favorite opera without having to put on a full-scale production of it. And so we have lots of different examples of that, whether it's in chamber music for flute and piano or in orchestral suites. And so this comes out of that tradition. It's from the opera Carmen by Georges Bizet. You'll recognize a lot of the tunes, so even if you're not familiar with that opera, it's used quite a bit. And while I tend to avoid this style of piece, not because of the reasons you think, but because it's from a time in the flute repertoire's history when the stuff that was being written for flute wasn't very good. Violinists had pieces like this too. In fact, there's a very famous Carmen Fantasy by Sarasate. But they had those, fantasy pieces while, Brahms was composing music for them and stuff like that. So they had their serious repertoire and then they had the fun stuff. The flutists, nobody was composing the serious stuff for anymore. It was just this fun stuff. And so the flute, which had been so celebrated in the Baroque era, when we had Bach and all these composers writing all this amazing music for flute, had fallen out of favor. It was an amateur instrument. It wasn't that big a deal. And this was just frivolous music. So most of the pieces that were written for flute in this time, I can't personally stand. But this one I love. It's actually the first piece I ever heard performed in a concert that had a flute soloist. I'd only really ever been exposed to flute in an orchestra setting or in a church setting before that. And I'd already started playing the flute at this point, but when I heard it, it was just one of those, wow, I didn't know it could do that moments. So I hope I didn't set that up too high, but here we go.